Good afternoon, everybody. You are listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball. It is game number 17 of the 2019 Varsity Baseball season here on a rainy afternoon here at Lake Stevens High School, and it's expected to rain the entire game. The Lake Stevens Vikings, they are still one game back of that final playoff spot to the Kamiak Knights, as not only the Vikings won on Wednesday, the Knights did as well. The Vikings won 5-3 over Mount Vernon in the last game, while the Knights beat the Glacier Peak Grizzlies by the final score of 16-9. Ouch. But now the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, they are mathematically out of playoff contention. Their conference record, if you cut out the two Mariner wins, they are now down to 2-6, while the Lake Stevens Vikings are now 3-7. Glacier Peak, their chances of going into these playoffs are slim to none. But the Vikings, they still have a shot. If they could start off here strong in this series against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, the Grizzlies with an overall record of 6 wins and 9 losses. My mistake, 6 wins and 10 losses. With a conference record of 2-6, Lake Stevens with a record of 8-8. A 500 record, a conference record of 3-7, still clinging on with a chance to that final conference playoff spot. The Kamiak Knights will be playing against the Mariner Marauders, as it was just discovered that the Mariner Marauder games for the rest of the year, they are not forfeited, and that they will play. They're just going to count as non-conference games. So Kamiak's conference record at 4-6 will stay the same. As for the Lake Stevens Vikings, they have a chance of sweeping Glacier Peak, taking the final spot away from Kamiak, or splitting with them and give them a chance at tying the Knights for the final spot. The starting pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings is Xander Fogel, who is currently no wins and no losses, making his third start of the year. When we come back, it'll be the top of the first inning, as he'll be on the mound to take on the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, as they'll try to spoil Lake Stevens' pre-playoff party. And we are now back in the top of the first inning. Lake Stevens, originally going to be playing at Glacier Peak High School. Due to rain, it has been moved here to Lake Stevens High School, as the Vikings play the first of 2 conference games against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. Leading off for the Grizzlies for the second consecutive year is the starting left fielder, number 18, Payne Smith. First pitch, ball 1. And the first 3 batters for the 7-10 Glacier Peak Grizzlies, who are 2-6 in conference play. Payne Smith, the left fielder. Center fielder, Jake Kelleher, after Drew Brown was originally going to play. The 1-0, a strike one looking. And the first baseman, number 42, Pierce Levengood, easily the hottest bat on the Glacier Peak baseball team. 1-1. And a ground ball straight to the third baseman. Jansen drops it, picks it up, throws to first. And first baseman Tate Brust in time for the first out of the top of the first. And that'll bring up a late addition to the Glacier Peak Grizzlies lineup. That is number 21, Jake Kelleher. He will take over for Drew Brown at center field. First pitch, chopper, foul, going towards the Lake Stevens dugout along the first base line. The lineup for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, as told by manager Bob Blair. The first 3 hitters, Payne Smith, Jake Kelleher, and Bruce Levengood. In the middle of the order, the catcher, Hayden Matre, number 6. The second baseman, number 9, Ryan Kinney, the 0-1. And a strike 2 looking to Kelleher. And the right fielder, number 4, Ethan Barker. The bottom 3 hitters, the designated hitter, number 20, Grant Doman. The third baseman, number 8, Chase Rogers, and Tyson Willis, the shortstop, the 0-2. Swing and a miss, but Kelleher is not able to get the first, as the catcher, Tommy Lindgren, is able to throw to the first baseman, Tate Brust, in time. So that'll be out number 2. Here is Pierce Levengood, the starting first baseman. And the first pitch from Xander, a strike 1 looking. And Levengood, and the last time these two teams faced off in the first round of the Westco playoffs, he had a 3-run home run to give the Grizzlies an early 5-0 lead. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Lake Stevens would be able to come back and win by a score of 8-6 in 9 innings. No balls and 2 strikes. Fogel, the 0-2. And a slow chopper fielded by Jansen, and he's not able to pick up the ball as Pierce Levengood will go to first. And it looked like Fogel was going to pick up the slow chopper towards the third baseman Jansen, but he moves out of the way. Jansen tries picking it up to make a running play. It is not able to. And now bring up Hayden Matre, number 6, first pitch.
Get your rhythm, baby. Here, go.
Upstairs. No, my mistake. Guess there's a couple of changes in the lineup. No, Hayden Matre is jersey number 9. And Ryan Kinney, who is on deck, is number 6. Hard hit ball. This one going in the right field. Devin McWaters under it, makes the catch. And that will end the top of the first inning.
Give me that lineup. They just batted out of order.
As we'll now go into the top of the first inning. It'll end it. It'll be no runs on no hits. 1 error and 1 runner left on as Lake Stevens and the starting pitcher, number 7, Cody Horton, will go on the mound, as it'll be Tanner Lind, Hunter Zalasko, and Theron Perkins, who will be playing as the designated hitter for the first time this year. As we will take a quick break as we go into the bottom of the first. No score between Glacier Peak and Lake Stevens. And we are now back into the bottom of the first inning. Cody Horton, the first pitch low, the starting catcher, number 6, Hayden Matre. And the next pitch, ball 2 upstairs. So it'll be Tanner Lind, the left fielder, the shortstop, Hunter Zalasko, and the designated hitter, Theron Perkins. 2-0 from Horton. Outside, ball 3. And 3 balls, no strikes, Horton. Outside, ball 4. And Tanner Lind will walk to first base. On a leadoff walk on 4 pitches, they'll bring up the starting shortstop, Hunter Zalasko. The lineup for the Lake Stevens Vikings, as told by manager Josh White, the first 3 hitters, the left fielder Tanner Lind, the shortstop Zalasko, and Theron Perkins to DH. Throw to first, not in time. And the cleanup spot is the second baseman Aaron Lampinen. The 5 spot is the third baseman Ethan Jansen. And the 6 spot is the first baseman Tate Bruss. And the bottom 3 hitters, the catcher Tommy Lindgren, the center fielder Cameron Austin, and Devin McWaters, the right fielder. Throw to first, once again not in time. And there are 3 reserves for the Lake Stevens Vikings: Colton Hogel, Caden Pattison, and Bailey Corley. Trey Long is not here in this game, as he is currently in Montana. The first pitch, a strike 1 looking. Trey Long currently at Montana State University Northern, where he is committed to play college football next year. The 0-1. Slow line drive that will get in the right field, right in front of the right fielder, Ethan Barker. It will be a base hit for Zalasko. It'll move Tanner to second. And here is the designated hitter, Theron Perkins. Now, the defensive positions for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, as told by manager Bob Blair. The first 3 hitters, the left fielder Peyton Smith, the center fielder Jake Kelleher, who took over for Drew Brown as a late scratch, and the first baseman Pierce Levengood. My mistake, that was reading off the lineup. As the outfield, left field is Peyton Smith, center field Jake Kelleher, and right field is Ethan Barker. On the mound is Horton. First pitch, outside, ball 1, and behind the plate, catching for Cody Horton is number 6, Hayden Matre. The infield at third base is Chase Rogers. The shortstop is Tyson Willis. The second base is Ryan Kinney. At first base is Pierce Levengood. The 1-0 from Horton. And a slow ball fielded by the shortstop. Touches the second base bag. Throws to first. It is in time for a 6-3 double play. It'll move Tanner to third. It was fielded by the shortstop Tyson Willis, who throws to first to Pierce Levengood in time for a double play. Here is the second baseman Aaron Lampinen with a chance to knock in the first run of the game. First pitch from Horton, and a strike 1 looking.
Have him in right here, kid. Go small. Come on now, small. You got it.
The 0-1, hard hit shot. This one going in the center field. The center fielder, Jake Kelleher, looking back, going for it, and he will make the catch as he snow cones it. He went back for a good few seconds, and he will make the catch to end the first inning. It is no runs on one hit, no errors, and one runner left on. No score between Glacier Peak and Lake Stevens. Xander Fogel, who threw 10 pitches in the top of the first, will go back to the mound, and Glacier Peak will try and get the first runs in on the board after one. And we are now back in the top of the second inning. And a timeout for Lake Stevens. And the Lake Stevens manager, Josh White, going to talk to the home plate umpire over something that was seen back in the first inning, which was that Glacier Peak had presumably batted out of order as the number 5 hitter came in on the cleanup spot. And now they are saying that Hayden Matre, who is the catcher, is supposed to leave. It is supposed to be now the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. Now the starting catcher, Hayden Matre, has just went back into the dugout. He is no longer suiting up as Grant Doman, who is the designated hitter, is currently getting suited up. And we'll take a quick break here in the top of the second, try and sort things out. No score, start the second inning. So we are now back into the top of the second inning with a very interesting development. It's not that the Glacier Peak Grizzlies batted out of order, but what happened, first pitch fly ball, this one going on the right. Devin McWaters under it. This is the second baseman Ryan Kinney who makes the catch. Here's what happened. It's not that Glacier Peak batted out of order, but that the number 4 hitter, Hayden Matre, who wears jersey number 6, and the second baseman number 9, Ryan Kinney, they were wearing the other's jersey number supposedly. And that was the case as well in the bottom of the first inning when they were on. First pitch, a screamer towards the Lake Stevens dugout to the right fielder, Ethan Barker, from Xander Fogel. And this was something that was discovered back in the bottom of the first when he saw that the guy who was wearing number 6, which was Ryan Kinney, 0-1 pitch outside, 1 hopper, ball 1. And it makes a lot of sense, especially because the guy who was wearing number 6, who in that case was Ryan Kinney, was playing at second base. That's where he's supposed to play. It's just what happened was that they were wearing different jersey numbers. Count is even at 1-1, Fogel the pitch. And this one gets past Lingren again, ball 2. A very interesting set of circumstances right there. It's I don't think I've ever seen that before, and looking at recent history, I don't think I'm ever going to see that again. It's just a very, very interesting to say the least. 2 balls, 1 strike. Fogel inside, ball 3. So Xander Fogel is facing off against the 5, 6, and 7 hitters, Ryan Kinney, the right fielder Ethan Barker, and the designated hitter number 20, Grant Doman. So we have everything in order now. 3 balls, 1 strike. Fly ball, this one going into right. Devin McWaters running for it, and it will fall foul just past the foul line in right field, and the count is now full. And Xander Fogel did a pretty decent job in the first inning. 1 ball and 9 strikes for 10 pitches.
Hey, Xander, right back, baby!
And Cody Horton, who also threw 10 pitches as well. It was a different result, though. 5 balls and 5 strikes. Full count, 3-2. Xander against the right fielder, Ethan Barker, gets a sign from Tommy. The windup in the pitch. And it is a foul. This is a check swing by Barker. Now the reserves for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. There are a number of them. Drew Brown is one of them. He was once again scratched from the number 2 spot with Jake Kelleher. And you have Nathan Tastad, Lance McGuire, and Kento Clymer. Payoff. This one a line drive ball. That will fall for a fair ball right near the line. And Ethan Barker has a one-out single for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. Here is the designated hitter, number 20, Grant Doman. He is currently hitting for the starting pitcher, Cody Horton.
Play ball here. On out.
And the rest of the reserves, Will Franklin, Jackson Henderson, Zach Rodriguez, Aiden Ferry, Dylan Owen, Tyson Mahis, Aiden Hammersmark, Kyle Lee, and Noah Stingley. And Glacier Peak with about 30 some odd players on their varsity baseball roster, according to WestSchoolAthletics.com. Xander, the throw to first, not in time.
Hey, little chatter. Go.
First pitch, check swing, ball 1.
Induce contact here on bet.
And the 0-1, a ground ball straight to Lampinen, throws to Zalasko for 1 and is not able to throw to first. Is Hunter Zalasko.
They make a big deal about that in the preseason meeting. They can't contact him past the base. All right. I know he slid into the base, but he can't slide through the base.
As Josh White, the Lake Stevens manager, talking about Ethan Barker's slide to second. As Grant Doman will go to first. It'll be the second out of the top of the second. Brings in the number 8 hitter, the starting third baseman, Chase Rogers. First pitch, outside, ball 1. So Xander Fogel entering this game, his 7th appearance, his 3rd start of the year, no wins, no losses, an ERA of 5.09. He has thrown 11 innings, allowing 9 hits and 8 earned runs. 1-0, fly ball, foul, count is even. With 8 walks and 11 strikeouts.
Up by the construction fence.
Count is even in 1-1. Xander the pitch. Check swing, he went, strike 2. And Xander ahead of the count. 1-2. Chopper. This one fielded by Xander, who throws to Tate at first in time to end the top of the second. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. There's still no score through 1.5. Cody Horton going back to the mound to face off against the 5, 6, and 7 hitters, Ethan Jansen, Tate Brust, and Tommy Lindgren, as it is still no score. And we are now back in the bottom of the second inning. First pitch, a ball 1 from Cody Horton to the starting third baseman, number 25, Ethan Jansen. Score still 0-0 between Lake Stevens and Glacier Peak. The fly ball evens the count at 1-1. Horton will face off against the 5, 6, and 7 hitters, Ethan Jansen, Tate Brust, and Tommy Lindgren. Jansen, a .292 batting average, 7 for 24 and 2 for 3 in stolen bases. The 1-1. Outside, ball 2. And Jansen, who started at the 8th spot for third base in yesterday's game, went 1 for 2, and a 2-1 pitch, a one-hopper, gets by the starting catcher, Hayden Matre, and hits the backstop. Count now 3-1 to start off the second inning. And the 3-1, the windup. Horton upstairs, ball 4, and Lake Stevens will start off once again with a leadoff walk. Here is the first baseman, Tate Brust, who is walking up to the plate. Brust, a 160 batting average, 4 for 25 with 3 doubles and 2 RBIs. And is making his first start in 2 games for the Vikings. Throw the first is not in time. Ethan Jansen got a stolen base in the last Vikings baseball game against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. As once again he is 2 for 3 on the base pass, has a chance to steal a third one. First pitch from Horton. Fly ball, that is leaning foul past the Lake Stevens dugout as the first baseman, Pierce Levengood, was running towards it. Count starts at 0-1. And Horton looking over at first base towards Ethan, the 0-1. And a strike two, and Ethan, the throw to second. Is it in time? No, it is not. And Jansen has his third stolen base. Now 3 for 4. The count now 0-2. As the Vikings have their leadoff batter in scoring position, no balls, 2 strikes. Horton getting the sign from Matre, 0-2. Outside, ball 1. His last start was back on Tuesday at Mount Vernon in the 7-hole. He is now playing in the 6-hole, the 1-2. A slow chopper. This one fielded by the third baseman who throws to first. It gets past Levin good. Jansen's going to score. Tate's going to second base. It'll be a single and an error for Tate Brust. Jansen's going to score, and the Vikings have an early 1-0 lead. It's the third baseman, Chase Rogers, who fielded the ball. Tried to throw it to the first baseman, Levin good. It gets past him, and a run will score on the error. Brings up the starting catcher, Tommy Lindgren. Entering this game with a .219 average, 7 for 32. With 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. Struck out 6 times, was hit once. First pitch, tried bunting for it. It's a strike.
Good kid. Let's go.
And Horton, the 0-1, tries bunting for it. It's a strike again. As Lindgren, the past 2 pitches, tried bunting for it, trying to move Tate to third. And Levingood and Rogers, the first baseman and third baseman, paying close attention to Lindgren, the 0-2. Tries bunting. That is low, ball 1. And Horton, the 1-2 inside evens the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Also back in the lineup for the first time in 2 games, as well as Tate Brust is the on-deck hitter, the center fielder Cameron Austin, with a .241 average. Perfect 9 for 9 stolen bases. 2-2 upstairs, full count. First full count for Horton, payoff, hard hit ball. This one going into right field. And it'll be caught by the right fielder, Ethan Barker, for the first out of the second inning. Now bring up the starting center fielder, Cameron Austin. There's number 14, Will Franklin, currently in the bullpen, warming up a little. Cameron Austin, .241 average, 7 of 29 with a double to his name, 9 for 9 in stolen bases, 8 runs, walked 5 times, struck out 11. First pitch, ball 1.
Come in! Go Cam! Get up there, guys!
And Horton, the 1-0. A golf shot going in the center field. And the center fielder trying to find the ball, and he finds it, is Jacob Kelleher. For the second out, Tate Brust stays at second for the second consecutive at bat. Here is the number 9 hitter, the starting right fielder, number 11, Devin McWaters. He had a couple fly balls hit to him so far in this game. McWaters, a .250 average, 4 for 16, 2 for 3 in stolen bases. First pitch, fly ball. This one going into short center field. Kelleher and the second baseman trying to make the catch, and is the second baseman, Ryan Kinney, who almost runs into Jacob Kelleher, the center fielder, to make the catch, and that will end the second inning. 1 run on no hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on. Lake Stevens taking an early 1-0 lead. Xander Fogel, 24 pitches through 2, looks pretty decent so far as he goes into the top of the third. He'll face off against the 9-1-2 hitters, Tyson Willis, the shortstop, Peyton Smith, the left fielder, and Jacob Kelleher, the center fielder. 1-0 Lake Stevens as we go into the top of the third inning. And we're now back at the top of the third inning. Xander Fogel against the number 9 hitter for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. That is the shortstop, number 5, Tyson Willis. First pitch, low, ball 1. And Xander Fogel now is currently protecting an early 1-0 lead for the Vikings. A chopper going towards the Glacier Peak dugout evens the count at 1-1. Is a 9-1-2 hitters for Xander in this inning. Tyson Willis, the shortstop, Peyton Smith, the left fielder, and Jacob Kelleher, the center fielder. Count is even at 1-1. 24 pitches through 2 innings for Xander. Here is 27. This one a slow fly ball as it will fall in the foul territory. Tate Brustic closest to it. Count now 1-2.
Let's go 7.
And now currently it is Will Franklin for Glacier Peak, warming up in the bullpen already. 1-2 for Xander. And a short fly ball. This one getting over the head of the second baseman. Lampinen will fall right in front of Devin McWaters. And it'll be a leadoff single for Tyson Willis for Glacier Peak in the top of the third. Brings us to the top of the order. The left fielder Peyton Smith grounded out to Ethan Jansen on a 1-1 count to start the game in the top of the first inning. And Xander, first pitch, tries bunting for it, but it goes upstairs for a ball 1. And Xander Fogel stepping off. The 1-0 tries bunting for it. This will go foul. Towards the Glacier Peak dugout along the third base line, evens the count at 1-1. Count even at 1-1. No throw to first is Aaron Lampinen. Wasn't close to the bag. Now, the infield umpire is calling time after the throw. Is also clarifying that Fogel stepped off, so it was not a balk. Count still even at 1-1. And no throw to first as Brust and Jansen was moving towards the plate. So the other results for the Wesco 4A Conference, it is Kamiak play against Glacier Peak on Wednesday. Kamiak won 16-9. It was a tie ball game at Monroe between the Bearcats and the Cascade Bruins that ended in a walk-off win. This one a bunt. They saying that he went. Count is now 1-2. There was a 1-1 score. Cascade was up 3-1 in the top of the 8th inning, and Monroe scored 3 in the bottom of the 8th to walk it off. Jackson beating Mariner 10-0, and then Lake Stevens beating Mount Vernon. The 1-2 swing and a miss, strike 3. Xander Fogel strikes out Peyton Smith, his second strikeout of the afternoon, and it'll be the first out of the top of the third. Here's the center fielder Jacob Kelleher, who is the other strikeout victim for Fogel. He struck out back in the top of the first inning. And Xander first pitch, ground ball. This one going to Lampinen, who tossed it to Zelasco. Toss it to Tate for 2. It is in time. Lake Stevens gets out of the top of the third on a 1-2-3 top of the third inning. There's no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on. Score stays 1-0 Lake Stevens as Cody Horton is expected to walk back up to the mound. As it's a little slow for the number of players to come out of the dugout. Now he is coming out as he'll face off against the top 3 hitters in the order again. Tanner Lynn, Hunter Zelasco, and Theron Perkins as they look to increase their 1-0 lead over the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. And we are now back at the bottom of the third inning with the top of the order. First pitch, low, ball 1, Cody Horton to the leadoff hitter, number 23, Tanner Lynn. The Vikings wearing black hats and black uniforms. 1-0 in the dirt. Ball 2.
Let's go now,
As they'll face off against the top 3 hitters in the order again. Tanner Lind, Hunter Zelasco, and the DH Theron Perkins. The 2-0 foul ball. And so the games that are going on today in Wesco baseball, Lake Stevens, they were supposed to play at Glacier Peak, but due to the rain has been moved here, and that the road game at Glacier Peak High School will be played on next Tuesday, the 2-1. Chopper, this one going to the first baseman, Levengood. He tosses it to the pitcher, slide to first, gets him in time. As Tanner tried sliding to first to no avail for the first out in the bottom of the third. Here is the shortstop, Hunter Zelasco, got a base hit in the bottom of the first, and so far is the only base hit for the Vikings. Other games, Jackson at Monroe, Cascade at Mount Vernon. 2 games to really decide who will be in the top 4 seeds in the conference. First pitch, a foul chopper. Mags himself as it goes towards the bleachers right next to the on-deck circle for Glacier Peak. Count starts at 0-1. And the final game is Mariner at Kamiak. Now this is key here because I've been saying in the past few games that the Mariners games, they don't count, but they still have to play them. The 0-1, one hopper gets past the catcher, Hayden Matre. So Mariner, their baseball games no longer count as a conference game because they had to postpone a few games. That is the case. All of the teams that played Mariner before their conference wins are deducted. 1-1. Upstairs, ball 2. So Kamiak right now, their conference record at 4-6. It's going to stay the same, the 2-1. And a line shot straight to the third baseman, Chase Rogers. For the second out in the bottom of the third, here is the designated hitter, Theron Perkins. Grounded out to the shortstop, Tyson Willis. In a 6-3 double play that got Hunter out at second. First pitch. Strike 1 looking. And the 0-1. Chopper, this one going to Rogers. Fields it right near the bag. Throw to first is in time. Did he get him in time? Yes, he did. By less than a millisecond. It will end the third inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on. It is still a 1-0 Lake Stevens game as we go into the top of the fourth. Xander Fogle faces off against the first baseman, Pierce Levengood. Hayden Matre, the catcher, and Ryan Kinney, the second baseman, this time with the right jerseys on. 1-0 Lake Stevens over Glacier Peak as we go into the top of the fourth. And we are now back into the top of the fourth inning. Xander Fogle has thrown 33 pitches through 3 innings, still pretty solid so far for the Vikings. They'll face off against the number 3 hitter, Pierce Levengood, the starting first baseman to start things off. He got on base on an error by Ethan Jansen. And was the only base runner in that inning. First pitch outside, ball 1. They'll face off against the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. The first baseman, Pierce Levengood, the catcher, Hayden Matre, and the second baseman, Ryan Kinney. The 1-0 low, ball 2 in the dirt. Score still 1-0 Lake Stevens over the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. The Vikings, they need a win. They need to either split or sweep the Grizzlies to stay alive, while the Grizzlies are already out of playoff contention. 2-0, ball 3. So Mariner is playing Kamiak. Kamiak, their record stays at 4-6. Lake Stevens, they're 3-7. If they can split, they have the playoff spot. If they can sweep, they have the playoff spot and more. And the 3-0 inside, ball 4. Xander Fogle with his first walk of the afternoon. A leadoff walk to Pierce Levengood, the number 3 hitter. Brings up the cleanup hitter, number 6, Hayden Matre, the catcher, who flew out on the first pitch to the right fielder, Devin McWaters. And Xander, first pitch. Chopper, this one fielded by Jansen, who throws to second. Did they get him out? No. As the second baseman, Aaron Lampinen, falls down while he tries to tag Levengood. And he also touches the bag as well. So Glacier Peak has runners on first and second. As the umpires will now talk about this. It'll be a base hit or a fielder's choice for Hayden Matre. And they're talking about it. So Lampinen, he had his, supposedly, had his foot on the bag. And then when Levengood was off of the bag after the umpire signaled safe, Lampinen tried tagging him. Now they're going to be reviewing the call. They are going to say he is safe.
No!
As there will now be runners on first and second, a pinch runner for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies.
Let's go, boys. Let's roll a couple. Let's roll three. Let's go.
As it'll be number 5, Jacob Clymer. Who will be the pinch runner for the catcher. And now Josh White talking to the infield umpire about the play. Now we'll take a quick break here. Glacier Peak now has runners on first base and second base, top of the fourth. As it'll be the second baseman Ryan Kinney who will be up to the plate. Take a quick break. 1-0 Lake Stevens here in the top of the fourth inning. And we are now back in the top of the fourth. Lake Stevens leads 1-0, but Glacier Peak is threatening with runners on first and second. First pitch to Kinney is a ball one. The second baseman Ryan Kinney. It'll be a base hit for Hayden Matre.
Bounce in front of you. Tommy, bounce on it in front of you.
As number 5, Jacob Clymer will be the pinch runner for the catcher Matre at first base. Levengood is at second. And the 1-0. And a strike one looking evens the count at 1-1. One positive for the Lake Stevens Vikings. And they won Wednesday over the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. Theron Perkins throwing 6 innings on the mound. Gives the Vikings enough players in relief. The 1-1 tries bunting. This one going past the third base line. Foul. Count is 1-2, and Kinney is not happy with that. Slamming the barrel of his bat onto the AstroTurf on the first base line. Wanting that ball to be fair. Count is now 1-2. And the 1-2 fly ball, that is out, foul. It keeps Kinney's at bat alive. Game tying run is in scoring position at second for Levengood. So far, this is a pitcher's duel here at Lake Stevens High School. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The pitch. And a foul ball hits the leg of Kinney.
Here we go. Go ahead. Tom, up. Come on, boys.
And Xander, 1 ball and 2 strike. Count stays the same after a couple of foul balls. Looks at Levengood at second. Outside at 2-2. And Fogel the 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3 gets Kinney swinging. Strikeout number 3 on the afternoon for Xander Fogel. And with runners on first and second, that is a huge out. Here is Ethan Barker, who got 1 of 2 Glacier Peak hits. My mistake, 1 of 3 Glacier Peak hits entering this at-bat. 1 of 2 entering this inning. And Xander, first pitch. Low, ball 1. And Fogel looking at Levingood at second, the 1-0. Ground ball. This one gets into the hole in right field. And Levingood will stay at third. It's a one-out single. As Ethan Barker now 2 for 2 on the afternoon. It moves Clymer to second. And Levingood to third. Here is Grant Doman.
Tommy, give it to us. Tommy. Alex, pull it up, boys.
And Xander wind up first pitch. And an inside ball one. Glacier Peak. Bases loaded with one out in the fourth. And the 1-0 swung on, hard hit ball going in the center. Back goes Cameron Austin. That will fall. Two are going to score. Clymer's riding around third. There is Ethan Barker who will stay at third. Grant Doman has a two-run double. And Glacier Peak takes the lead 2-1. It'll move Barker to third. Now bring up Chase Rogers, the third baseman. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Tommy Lindgren going up to the mound to talk to Xander Fogel.
Hey, get us it out. Take her out here.
Good spot, Chase. Go.
Come back.
And Xander, the first pitch. One hopper to Tommy, ball one. Grant Doman at second, Ethan Barker now at third base. And the 1-0. And a foul chopper towards the catcher, Tommy Lindgren, evens the count at 1-1.
Check in, go one. Go top, boys. No.
One. Hard hit ball. That one getting into right field. Two more are going to score. Doman rounding around third. The throw cut off by Tate. Throw to the plate is not in time. It's a two-run single for Chase Rogers. And the score now, Glacier Peak 4, Lake Stevens 1. Brings up Tyson Willis. I wrote down the scorecard that he is number 5. I was wrong. He is number 15. And Willis had a leadoff single in the third inning, and then he got out in a 4-6-3 double play. First pitch, foul ball, count at 0-1. So the Grizzlies finished last season with a record of 10 wins and 11 losses, an 8-6 conference record, finishing fourth in the Wesco 4A conference. They were 10-10 finishing the regular season. They lost the first round game, the 0-1. Chopper, this one off the glove of Jansen. This one rolling towards the Glacier Peak bullpen. It will be an error on Ethan Jansen. There are runners on first and second. It'll bring up the 8th hitter of the 4th inning, back to the leadoff spot, left fielder Peyton Smith. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White along with Tommy Lindgren walking up to the mound. Lake Stevens leading 1-0, entering the top of the fourth. Glacier Peak responding with 4 runs. A leadoff walk on Levingood, base hit by Matre, in which Jansen threw to second. The umpire said that Levingood was safe at second base, and that was the game changer so far, as After Ryan Kinney struck out, Ethan Barker got a base hit. Grant Doman had a 2-run double, and Chase Rogers has a 2-run single. Now Tyson Willis gets on base after an error by Ethan Jansen after he tries to backhand it near the third base bag. Now we go back to the leadoff hitter. 0 for 2 is number 18, Peyton Smith. Xander Fogel looking at second base. And the first pitch, low, ball 1. So Glacier Peak, they finished with a record of 10-11, and they lost in the first round of the Wesco playoffs by the final score of 8-6 in 9 innings. The 1-0 ground ball, this one getting into the hole in left, and the bases are loaded again. Brings up Jacob Kelleher, who enters 0 for 2, timeout by Lake Stevens. And they're going to bring in Tanner Lind from left, and they're going to bring in a new pitcher. Xander Fogel is done after 3 1/3. We'll take a quick break here in the top of the 4th. Glacier Peak leading 4-1 as the bases are loaded with 1 out. And we are now back in the top of the 4th. First pitch, fly ball, playable. This one will stay in the infield grass. Tate Brust under it, makes the catch. It was the 9th batter of the inning and a pinch hitter. That was number 10, Drew Brown, who is hitting for Jacob Kelleher, as Brown was initially scratched. He was initially scratched from the number 2 spot. Now here's Pierce Levengood. This is against the new pitcher, Tanner Lind. First pitch. And a screaming ground ball for a foul. Count starts at 0-1. It'll be the 10th batter of the inning. Tanner Lind entering this game, pitching in his 5th game this year, 1 win and 1 loss, an ERA of 1.17. The count starts at 0-1. Tanner, the pitch. Outside, evens the count at 1-1. Levengood started the 4th inning with a 4-pitch walk. And knowing Pierce and how much power he can have, a huge hit can make a difference. 1-1. Tanner, the windup, and a ball 2. Chase Rogers at 3rd, Tyson Willis at 2nd, Peyton Smith at 1st. And Tanner, and a strike 2 looking, evens the count at 2-2. So Xander Fogel currently 3 1/3, 59 pitches and 7 hits. Currently with 4 earned runs. Against his name, 2-2. Chopper, this one fielded by Tate Brust, who touches the first base bag. Is it foul? It is a foul ball. So the count stays at 2-2 after the foul ball just gets in the foul territory before it's fielded by Tate Brust, the first baseman. And as that bet is alive, the windup in the 2-2. Check swing, ball 3. Count is full. Count is now full, bases loaded for Glacier Peak. Tanner getting the sign from Tommy Lindgren, payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. And Tommy touching home plate for the 3rd out. So it'll be a strikeout and he'll touch home plate. And it will end the top of the 4th. It is 4 runs off of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 1 error and 3 runners left on. Glacier Peak now leads by the score of 4-1. Cody Horton back on the mound after throwing 38 pitches through 3 innings. He'll face off against the middle of the order, Aaron Lampin and Ethan Jansen. And Tate Brust as the Vikings look to retake the lead here in this game at Lake Stevens High School. And we are now back in the bottom of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens, they entered the top of the 4th leading 1-0. They now trail 4-1, and the Vikings look to try and take that lead back. Cody Horton back on the mound as he has thrown 38 pitches. First pitch low to the catcher, Hayden Matre. Ball 1 against Aaron Lampin and the second baseman. He has thrown 18 balls for 20 strikes in 38 pitches through 3 innings. He'll face off against the middle of the order, starting with Lampinen. Fly ball, that is leading foul. Count is even at 1-1. As it'll be the second baseman, Aaron Lampinen, the third baseman, Ethan Jansen, and the first baseman, Tate Brust, for the Lake Stevens Vikings. And Lampinen entered this day at .271 average, 13 for 48, with 4 doubles and 5 RBIs on the year. Cody Horton stepping off. And the 1-1. Low, ball 2. The last time that these two teams faced off here at Lake Stevens High School, it was not pretty at all. This one, a ground ball. This one fielded, though, gets under the glove of the shortstop Tyson Willis, as he was in short left field. So it'll be a leadoff single for Aaron Lampinen. It gets under the glove of the shortstop Willis, but he was in short left. And the last time that the Vikings played against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, it was not pretty in Glacier Peak's part. Ethan Jansen now up to the plate. He has scored the only run for the Vikings. The final score was Lake Stevens 16, Glacier Peak 4. The Vikings scored 10 runs in the third. First pitch, fly ball, foul. There's Pierce Levengood running towards it and will make the catch for the first out in the fourth. As this one stays in play in foul territory. Now here is Tate Brust. Got on base on the error by the third baseman, Chase Rogers. Cody Horton looking at first. The first pitch. Hard hit shot. This one going in the right center field. That will drop for a base hit. And Tate Brust has a 1-out single here in the bottom of the fourth. Moves Lampinen in the second. Here is Tommy Lindgren. And what happened during that game was at Glacier Peak, they were leading 4-1 after 3.5. And then the Vikings scored 10 in the bottom of the third, then 5 in the bottom of the fourth, and made it 16-4. They started off with 4 straight walks from Will Wentz. First pitch. This one, a seeing eye single. Lampinen's riding around third. This one going in the left. No! And Peyton Smith, the left fielder, fakes the throw and tricks Aaron into staying at third. So now it's bases loaded with 1 out for Cameron Austin. So the game-tying run now at first base, and Tommy Horton, the first pitch. Fly ball, that is going in right field. Lampinen looking to run. Yes, he will. And the throw cut off by Levengood. And it'll be a sacrifice fly into right field for Cameron Austin. And Lampinen will score from third. Tate will stay at second. Lindgren will stay at first. Brings up the number 9 hitter, Devin McWaters, as the score is now Glacier Peak 4, Lake Stevens 2. And the first pitch, strike 1 looking. And Horton the 0-1, inside, ball 1. Will Franklin still warming up in the bullpen for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. Count is even at 1-1. Tate at second, Tommy at first. Strike 2 looking. And Horton the 1-2. Hard hit shot. This one caught by the second baseman who makes the catch. Is the second baseman Ryan Kinney, and that will end the inning. The Vikings got a run on the board, 1 run on 3 hits. No errors and 2 runners left on. The score now, Glacier Peak 4. Lake Stevens 2. Tanner Lind going back to the mound, facing off against the catcher Hayden Matre, the second baseman Ryan Kinney, and the right fielder Ethan Barker for the first time in the middle of the order as they look to extend their 2-run lead over the Lake Stevens Vikings here in the top of the 5th inning. And we are now back in the top of the 5th inning. Lake Stevens, they now trail Glacier Peak by the score of 4-2. Tanner Lind will face off against the catcher Hayden Matre for the first time this afternoon. First pitch is strike one looking. And with Tanner on the mound, there is also some changes in the outfield. Cameron Austin has moved to left. Devin McWaters has moved to center as Caden Pattison will play in right. The 0-1 fly ball for a foul. Count now 0-2.
Kid, real good. Way up. No promises, coach.
And the 0-2 pitch upstairs. A slow curve, ball one. A nice play by the catcher Tommy Lindgren to keep that one in play. So once again, Tanner Lind will face off against the catcher Hayden Matre and the second baseman Ryan Kinney. The 1-2 swing and a miss, strike three. He gets Matre looking for the first out in the 5th. Here is Ryan Kinney, the second baseman. 0 for 2 with a fly out to Devin at right and a strikeout swinging. And Tanner wind up, first pitch. Upstairs, ball. So it is.
Right there. Like, come directly towards me from there.
The 1-0. A large line shot in the center field for a one-out single, as it'll be fielded by the center fielder Devin McWaters. Now here is the right fielder Ethan Barker.
Right there. Right there.
As in addition to Will Franklin currently in the Glacier Peak bullpen, there's also another player currently in there as well. It's hard to tell now, but now it's back to Will Franklin. First pitch from Tanner to Ethan Barker, inside ball one.
Let it work, baby. Let it work.
Let's go, Park. Come, kid.
And Tanner, the windup in the 1-0. Low ball two.
Good, baby.
And Tanner against two batters. He threw 8 pitches. He only threw 1 to Drew Brown, who was hitting for Jacob Kelleher. And then he struck out swinging Pierce Levengood on a full count, the 2-0. And this will hit Ethan Barker as a one-hopper. It hits Barker. So it'll be a hit by pitch. Bringing in Grant Doman. He knocked in the first 2 runs of the game with a 2-run double and back in the top of the 4th inning.
Find the zone, huh, babe?
And Tanner looking over at Kinney at second. First pitch. Upstairs, ball one.
Settle, baby, settle.
Dan?
Lock it in here, babe.
So currently Xander Fogel now with 4 earned runs under his name and 3 1/3. As all the base runners after the Ethan Jansen error did not score, the 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike one. Count is even. Tanner 1-1. Foul ball. Count is 1-2. Hits the fence.
A lot of confidence. Go, Lake.
So Cascade playing against Jackson. For anyone who's paying attention to the first few teams in the West Coast standings, that is a huge series to look at. See if we can get updates here shortly. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tanner to Doman. Swing and a miss, strike 3. He gets Doman swinging for the second out. Brings up the third baseman Chase Rogers. He also added to the 2-run single shortly after Grant Doman in the top of the 4th. Tanner, first pitch. Hard hit ball, this one going in the center. And it'll be the center fielder, McWaters, making a diving catch in right center. What a play by Devin McWaters to end the fifth. No runs on one hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Keeps the score at 4-2. And now the possibility that it would still be Cody Horton, who threw 50 pitches through 5 innings. 4 innings of play. And no, they are bringing in a new pitcher for Glacier Peak, number 14, Will Franklin. And we'll take a quick break here for the new pitching change as well. As we go into the bottom of the 5th. Glacier Peak 4, Lake Stevens 2. Cody Horton currently now in the dugout and online for the win here at Lake Stevens High School. And we are now back in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Lake Stevens Vikings currently trail the Glacier Peak Grizzlies 4-2, and they're looking to retake the lead. There's a new pitcher for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. That is number 14, Will Franklin, who will be taking over for Cody Horton. So face off against the top of the order, left fielder Tanner Lynn, the shortstop Hunter Zelasco, and the designated hitter Theron Perkins. Also playing for Pierce Levengood at first base is number 22, Zach Rodriguez. First pitch by Franklin. Hard hit, foul. Count starts at 0-1. So Cody Horton, 4 innings and 50 pitches, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 2 walks, and no strikeouts. Is currently online for the win, the 0-1. Fly ball, it's another foul. Count at 0-2. It is the new pitcher for Glacier Peak, Will Franklin, against the new pitcher for Lake Stevens, Tanner Lind. And the 0-2, outside ball 1 to the catcher, Hayden Matre. And the 1-2 by Franklin. Fly ball, another foul. And Franklin, the 1-2. Low, evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Here we go, hunt out.
And the 2-2 upstairs, full count. Payoff pitch, Franklin. Swing and a miss. He gets Tanner. Look, my mistake. Tanner swinging. It's the first strikeout for Glacier Peak pitching. Now here is Hunter Zelasco, who got a base hit in the first and popped out to the third baseman Chase Rogers. First pitch from Franklin, the windup and the pitch. Low, 1 hopper to the catcher Hayden Matre, ball 1. And the 1-0. Hard hit ball, this one going in the center field. The center fielder calling for it. He is under it and he will make the catch for the second out. Now here is Theron Perkins. A pair of groundouts in the first inning and the third inning. And the first pitch by Franklin. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
Come on now, Theron, let's go, kid.
And the windup, the 0-1. Inside, count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1. Foul ball hits the backstop, count is 1-2.
Go!
And Franklin ahead on the count, 1-2 the pitch. Chopper, foul. Past the third base dugout for Glacier Peak. And the 1-2 hard hit shot going into left center. And it will be the left fielder Peyton Smith who will make the catch in left center field. A 1-2-3 inning for Will Franklin. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. Tanner Lind will face off against Tyson Willis, Peyton Smith, and Drew Brown as they look to add to the 2-run lead here in the top of the 6th inning. Tanner Lind will go back to the mound to pitch his second full inning for Lake Stevens. And we are now back in the top of the 6th inning. Glacier Peak leading Lake Stevens 4-2. And Tanner Lind bringing in the number 9 hitter Tyson Willis. First pitch low for a ball 1. Glacier Peak left a couple of runners on in the top of the 5th. 14 pitches for Tanner. It ended on a diving play by the center fielder Devin McWaters to 1-0. Upstairs, ball 2.
Tanner, do it up, baby, you got it. Good hand.
And the 2-0 hard hit ball going into left field. And making the catch is Cameron Austin. For the, or my mistake, not Cameron Austin, Brett Camera. Wait.
Stop! Stop! Stop!
No, it was Cameron Austin, my mistake. You stay in the outfield. And we now go to the top of the order for the 4th time around. Peyton Smith, 1 for 3. First pitch by Tanner. Low ball 1, gets away from the catcher. Tommy Lindgren. Will Franklin expected to be on the mound in the bottom of the 6th. Will face off against the middle of the order. See if they can give him some damage here late in the game. 1-0, Tanner. Ground ball. This one going to Hunter Zelasco, the shortstop. Throw to first is in time for the second out in the top of the 6th. Here is Drew Brown. He was originally going to be in the number 2 spot for good, but then was scratched late by the manager, Bob Blair, but by being replaced by the starting center fielder, number 21, Jacob Kelleher. Kelleher was 0 for 2. And in that 4th inning, Drew Brown, on the first pitch he saw, popped out to Tate Bruss. This is the second time against Tanner. First pitch, and it will hit Drew. And Glacier Peak has a base runner. And that'll bring up another pinch hitter for Glacier Peak. Pinch hitting for Pierce Levengood will be number 22, Zach Rodriguez, as Pierce is now done for the afternoon. As this is his first appearance. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. And Tanner, the 1-0. Check swing, upstairs, ball 2. And Tanner looking over at Brown at first. Runner goes. A strike 1 looking as Drew Brown was looking to go to second, stays at first.
Here we go, Hunter.
As Glacier Peak, for the past few years, they have not been known as a team that would steal bases, but they have a chance to do so here. 2 balls, 1 strike. Tanner low inside, ball 3. And the full, my mistake, 3-1. Scoreboard said full count. It's actually 3-1. 3-1. Now it's a full count. Foul ball hits the fence. Full count with 2 outs. Tanner struck out a couple of batters already. My mistake, 3 batters, and the full count pitch inside, ball 4. And that'll bring up Hayden Matre, who struck out against Tanner in the 5th, timeout by Lake Stevens. As we'll take a quick break here in the top of the 6th inning. Glacier Peak, they lead by 2. They have 2 on base with 2 outs. As Glacier Peak brings in the starting catcher. And we're now back in the top of the 6th. Glacier Peak has runners on first and second. 2 outs in the 6th inning, and they are up by 2 over Lake Stevens. Tanner against Hayden Matre, second time around. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. He went up to the plate against Tanner in the 5th inning and struck out swinging to start the 5th inning.
Come on, throw it.
1-0, upstairs, ball 2.
Go, kid.
Short away here. Short away.
Put the easy way. You got a 2-3 on bad.
And Tanner looking at second base. And a timeout by the catcher, Matre.
And got that kid field up, my baby. Let's go, defense. Lock up a little bit. On back. Good, man.
2 balls, no strikes. Tanner the pitch. Fly ball. This one going into right field. Caden Pattison makes the catch. And the catcher, Hayden Matre, saying some profanities as he's walking over the first, and a number of the Lake Stevens fans over right in the fence heard it. Now we'll end the top of the 6th. I wouldn't be surprised if that actually got caught in the recording. No runs on no hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. The score still 4-2. Glacier Peak over Lake Stevens. Will Franklin looking to go back on the mound. He'll face off against the middle of the order, Aaron Lampin and Ethan Jansen and Tate Brust, as the Vikings look to retake the lead here at Lake Stevens High School. And we are now back in the bottom of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens, they trail Glacier Peak by a score of 4-2. The guy that's keeping them from tying this game so far is the pitcher, Will Franklin. He threw a 1-2-3 inning, striking out Tanner Lynn to lead things off. And now we'll face off against the cleanup hitter, number 12, Aaron Lampinen. And Will Franklin, the first pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
That boy. Let's go, baby, right here, on now.
And the 0-1, outside, ball 1. Got him with a fastball in the first pitch, and he tried to fastball outside. Wind up, 1-1, fastball, ball 2.
Hey!
2-1, strike 2 looking. Another fastball evens the count at 2-2. And the 2-2, ball 3, full count. And once again, Will Franklin starting off with a full count. There's one, a fly ball foul. There's a couple of guys warming up for Glacier Peak. Noah Stingley is up, payoff. Strike 3 called, he got Lampinen looking. As that one looked a little outside. Now here's Ethan Jansen. There's a couple of guys for Glacier Peak in the bullpen. One of them is junior Noah Stingley. He was on the mound for the Grizzlies in the Wesco first round game. First pitch inside, ball 1. And it was the losing pitcher in that first round game. The 1-0 upstairs, strike 1 looking. And Franklin, the 1-1, and a low curve check swing, ball 2. And once again, on a payoff pitch with an extra foul ball, Will Franklin strikes out the leadoff batter. 2-1, strike 2.
Go get him, baby!
And the 2-2, Strike 3 called against Ethan Jansen looking. As Franklin aiming the throw outside of the strike zone. Now it brings up Tate Brust. Got on base on both plate appearances. First pitch of strike 1 looking. Yeah, I don't know if those messages were towards me or not because I'm broadcasting the game. The 0-1. Ground ball. This one gets to the shortstop. Willis throws to first is in time to end the 6th. And Will Franklin throws a 1-2-3 bottom of the 6th inning. Score stays at 4-2. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on. Tanner will go back to the mound in the top of the 7th. Ryan Kinney, Ethan Barker, and Grant Doman will face off against Tanner in the top of the 7th. Score still Glacier Peak 4, Lake Stevens 2. And we are now back in the top of the 7th inning. Glacier Peak leading by 2. First pitch from Tanner Lynn to Ryan Kinney. A swing and a miss, strike 1. As Kinney is 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout. 0-1. Low, even count at 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 by Tanner. 1 hopper, ball 2. And Tanner throwing 17 balls and 20 strikes. 36 pitches. Ball 3. Now, during the bottom of the 6th inning, when Will Franklin was on the mound, I thought it was interesting that 3-1. Ground ball, this one going to Ethan Jansen. Throw to first, 1 hopper, and it gets past the first baseman, Tate Brust, and Ryan Kinney onto the races at second. And the inning will start off on an error by Ethan Jansen, the second one of this afternoon. Jansen tapping his chest saying that it's my fault. Now I'll bring up Ethan Barker, the right fielder. He is 2 for 2 with a run scored. And Tanner first pitch, upstairs, ball 1. And during that bottom of the 6th inning, especially after Will Franklin struck out Ethan Jansen, he was a couple of the Glacier Peak infielders yelling out that Will Franklin is a freshman. The 1-0 upstairs, ball 2.
Now here we go. On back.
Tanner looking at Kinney at second, 2-0. A fly ball, this one going into right field. Short right field, Caden Pattison calling for it, and he makes the catch for the first out in the top of the 7th. Now here is Grant Doman, 1 for 3 with that 2-run double in the 4th.
Tanner on out.
And Tanner, the first pitch. Fly ball, this one going into center. Devin McWaters going back a couple of steps, and he will make the catch, and Kinney will go to third. As that'll be the second out of the 7th inning, brings up the third baseman Chase Rogers as the Grizzlies have some insurance 90 feet away. And currently for Glacier Peak, Noah Stingley, the losing pitcher in last year's Wesco first-round matchup.
You don't have to. No, you don't throw it. Just ask. All you got to do is ask.
And now Tanner asking the infield umpire if Ryan Kinney touched second before he was able to go with third. Now the umpire saying that he is safe. First pitch to Chase Rogers outside, ball 1. And the 1-0, one hopper. Count now 2-0. Tanner bringing his ERA back way down after he came out into the 4th inning. He's thrown 2 2/3 entering it. Ball 3. Has thrown Tanner Lynn doing a solid job of relief. 3 1/3 innings of scoreless relief. Bringing his ERA way down. Entered it at 1.17. 3-0. Ball 4. And Chase Rogers will go to first. Brings up Tyson Willis, the shortstop.
Come on now, here we go.
Go Tanner, baby.
Hey, be the guy here, be the guy. Go.
And Tanner the first pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. And Tanner the 1-0. Swung on, foul ball, count is even.
Go, boys.
Ryan Kinney getting on base on the error by Ethan Jansen. He is currently at 3rd base, and Chase Rogers getting on base at first at a 4-pitch walk. 1-1 inside for a ball 2. And Tanner the 2-1 inside, strike 2. Evens to count at 2-2. So it'll either be Will Franklin or Noah Stingley that will be on the mound. He'll face off against the bottom 3 hitters of the order. The last hope for the Lake Stevens Vikings. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tanner, foul ball. He got a piece of it. As Will Franklin, 28 pitches, 10 balls, 18 strikes, has struck out 3 batters through 2 innings of relief. And apparently, according to the Glacier Peak infielders, yelling it out that he is a freshman. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Runners in the corners. Tanner. Check swing. Did he go? Throw to third. Is not in time. Did he go? He did not. Full count.
Pick him up, Tyson. Here we go. Here we go.
So there's now a runner at second. Chase Rogers at his stolen bases. Tommy threw to third. Payoff. Ball 4. Bases are now loaded. Goes to the top of the order for the 5th time around. And Peyton Smith, 1 for 4 with a single in the 4th inning. It was the final batter for Xander Fogel. Or my mistake, there is now a pinch hitter, the 3rd pinch hitter.
Get some hands, baby. Guys, easy way.
For the Glacier Peak Grizzlies.
Little energy, let's go.
As it will be number 23, Aiden Ferry, a returning player from last year's Glacier Peak Grizzlies team. And the first pitch. And a ball 1 outside. So as the 3rd pinch hitter for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. The 1-0. Check swing, strike 1. Tanner has left 2 Glacier Peak runners on in the 5th inning and the 6th inning, and left 3 runners on when he entered in the 4th. This is not uncharted territory in this game for Tanner, the 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Close here.
And the 1-2. A screamer in the center field. That will fall. 2 runs are going to score. That's going to go all the way to the wall. That could be 3. Aiden Ferry breaking the game wide open with a bases clearing double. And now Bob Blair saying that Drew Brown is going to re-enter. And is going to pinch run for Aiden Ferry. Drew Brown once again.
Go, Lex.
Come on, baby, you got enough hand?
The score now, Glacier Peak 7, Lake Stevens 2. As Drew Brown making his third plate appearance for Glacier Peak. Peyton Smith at second, first pitch, a ball one.
Confidence, go, 2-3.
And Tanner the 1-0. And this will hit Drew Brown. The inning will continue. Drew Brown hit in back-to-back at-bats after he got hit back in the 6th inning and was stranded at second. They're going to take Tate Brust out of the game in first base. They're going to bring Tanner back to left. Bailey Corley is going to play at first base. Tate Brust is the new pitcher. We'll take a quick break here in the top of the 7th. Glacier Peak breaking this game wide open, making the score now 7-2 over the Lake Stevens Vikings. And we are now back into the top of the 7th inning. Glacier Peak just widen the gap. They are now up by 5 against Lake Stevens. First pitch to Zach Rodriguez, a shot in the center, and is caught by Devin McWaters. The first pitch taken out from Tanner Lynn to Tate Brust. That will end the top of the 7th. 3 runs on 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 runners left on. The score now 7-2
Let's go, boys!
over the Lake Stevens Vikings. We go into the bottom of the 7th inning. Will Franklin will try and close this game down, facing off against the bottom 3 hitters, Tommy Lindgren, Cameron Austin, and Devin McWaters. The score, once again, Glacier Peak 7, Lake Stevens 2. And we are now back in the bottom of the 7th inning. Lake Stevens, they need 5 to tie and 6 to walk it off here against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. It'll be Will Franklin, supposedly the freshman, according to the Glacier Peak infielders, against Tommy Lindgren, the starting catcher. 1 for 2 with a single and a fly out to right field. First pitch, strike 1 looking. And the 0-1, fly ball, that is out foul. Count now 0-2. And the 0-2 pitch by Will Franklin. Check swing foul. And the 0-2 pitch by Franklin, strike 3 called. He gets Tommy looking. Now bring up the number 8 hitter, Cameron Austin, 0 for 1 with a fly out to center and a fly out to right and a sacrifice fly that scored Aaron from third. First pitch by Will. Tries bunting, strike 1. And the 0-1, Franklin. Ground ball. Line drive shot into the hole in center. Cameron Austin gets a 1-out single here in the bottom of the 7th. Here is Devin McWaters. A pair of pop-outs to the second baseman, Ryan Kinney, in the 2nd inning and in the 4th inning. And the first hit allowed. The first hit allowed by Will Franklin. Now we'll bring up a pinch hitter. It is number 17, Colton Hogel. Colton making his first plate appearance in conference play. As Colton with 4 plate appearances this season. He is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a hit by pitch. First pitch by Will. Outside, ball 1. He'll take over for Devin McWaters at the 9 spot. Throw to first, not in time. So the next time that these two teams will play, it'll be on April 23rd at Glacier Peak High School. The 1-0 foul ball, count is even at 1-1. So Tanner Lynn finishing also with 3 1/3, 61 pitches, 2 hits, 3 unearned runs, 3 walks and 3 strikeouts, including 3 hit batters. Throw to first is not in time, as Zach Rodriguez has not tagged Cameron Austin in time. Cameron, a perfect 9 for 9 in stolen bases. Not in time the first. Count is even at 1-1. So with this game, Kamiak, their conference play is not affected. Glacier Peak, if I remember correctly, they are already out of playoff contention. The 1-2 throw to second is not in time. And Cameron Austin has his 10th stolen base of the year. He is 10 for 10. And Colton searching for his first base hit. As possibly might get his first RBI. And the 1-2 foul ball. And Will Franklin, 28 pitches through 2 innings, 14 in the 5th, 14 in the 6th. Both identical, 5 balls and 9 strikes, which is actually pretty freaky. 1-2. Strike 3 called against Colton looking. And it'll bring up Tanner Lynn back to the top of the order for the 4th time around. So both these teams will play. If I had to guess from Josh White, it'll start Devin McWaters in the final game in the series. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. And Lake Stevens now with the result 1-0. Ball 2. Their chances of getting into the playoffs now a little slim, but if they can just get this game out, 2-0. Hard hit ball, this one going into center field. Back it goes, and the Glacier Peak Grizzlies get a winning record on the week, and they beat the Lake Stevens Vikings by the final score of 7-2. It was the center fielder, Drew Brown, that made the catch. It is no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. The final score, once again, Glacier Peak 7, Lake Stevens 2. The winning pitcher, Cody Horton, and the losing pitcher at 1-2 is Xander Fogel. So Lake Stevens now with a conference record of 3 wins and 8 losses, an overall record of 8-9. And Lake Stevens, they need to win this next game if they have a shot at getting into the playoffs. If they get swept by the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, their playoff chances are out the window. If they can split Glacier Peak, they at least have a shot at the playoffs. If in the next series after that, with Kamiak playing against Monroe, then if Lake Stevens wins on Tuesday, and if Monroe sweeps Kamiak on Wednesday and Friday while the Vikings play Mariner, then the Vikings will have the final seed in the West Coast playoffs. But right now, their playoff chances, their window, has slowly been closing. Once again, right now, it is the final score, Glacier Peak 7, Lake Stevens 2, as the Vikings need to win this next game at Glacier Peak High School in order to have a shot at the West King playoffs, the first ever West King playoffs. The winning pitcher is Cody Horton. Losing pitcher is Xander Fogel. Here from Lake Stevens High School at 5:43 p.m. My name is Payne Patchett. You have been listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball.